Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Angie Martinez, and I'm the Regional Director here in EDA's Denver Regional Office. We're so pleased to have so many of you join us today to learn about the Denver Region's University Center competition. The University Center program is such an important part of what EDA does. With a rather modest investment, EDA is able to support colleges and universities and the critical role that they play in regional economic development. Our university centers marshal the resources within colleges and universities to support economic development strategies in regions particularly affected by economic distress. And they help build the public-private partnerships that are so vital to helping America stay innovative and competitive in the 21st century. Through this competition, the Denver office will be awarding nearly $1.4 million to fund about 10 university centers. Having seen the tremendous impact our UCs have in their particular states, our hope is that each of our states can enjoy the benefit that the UCs offer through their regional economic development efforts. Hopefully by now, many of you had an opportunity to review the Notice of Federal Funding Opportunity, or the NOFO. During today's presentation, we will dive into the NOFO to further explain the process, requirements, and competitiveness factors. You will hear from our University Center program leads, Jane Reimer and Stacy Webb. And in addition, we're joined by Area Director Cindy Edwards. Thank you so much for your interest in the University Center program and for taking time today to participate with us. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jane to begin the presentation. Thanks.
Thanks, Angie. My name is Jane Reimer, and I am the University Center program lead. Before I get started, I ask that you type your questions in the chat box on the black bar in the webinar. We will address them after we complete the presentation. If we are unable to get to all of the questions, we will email out the questions and answers along with a recording of our webinar. Let's start with the agenda. We have program overview and purpose, program allocation, eligible applicants, award period, match requirements, application requirements, facilities and administrative F&A costs, also known as indirect costs, application review criteria, review and selection process, tools and resources. I want to stress the importance of the Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFO. This document has all of the information presented in this slideshow. The link for the NOFO is located on the bottom of this slide, and at the end of the presentation is also located in the email regarding the details of this webinar. The University Center UC program purpose, page 5 of the NOFO, enables institutions of higher education to establish and operate programs focused on leveraging university assets to foster regional economic development. It builds regional economic ecosystems through science, technology, engineering, and math STEM skills that support innovation and high-growth entrepreneurship, collaborates with other EDA partners, and results in job creation, high-skilled regional talent pool, and business expansion. Expertise and technical assistance may address, for example, workforce training programs, applied research centers, technology commercialization, feasibility studies, market research, economic impact analysis training, and other technical assistance to help communities foster vibrant economic ecosystems. Stacy will talk more about this later in the presentation. The total University Center program allocation for FY18 is $7.4 million. Keep in mind that the Denver Regional Office receives $1.38 million annually, and we will fund approximately 10. Therefore, award amounts generally are between $80,000 and $200,000 annually, with most of the award somewhere in the middle of this amount. Other EDA regional offices hold their University Center competition in staggered years. We will now move on to eligible applicants. For applicants applying as a consortium, one accredited institution of higher education must be identified as the lead applicant that would have primary responsibility to EDA and to the other members of the consortium for implementing an award. An application that is affiliated with and directed by an accredited institution of higher education and that is in good standing may partner with an accredited institution of higher education or consortium to participate in a proposed project. Please read the eligible applicants section of the NOFO for provisions, page 9, section C1, and if you have questions, please contact me. My contact information is on the last slide. Awards are for 5 years. Funding will be received prior to the anniversary of the award start date of each year, as long as the award is in good standing. Funding beyond the initial first year will be dependent upon the availability of funds and recipient performance. Matching documentation will be requested yearly prior to the anniversary of award start date. Moving on to match requirements. EDA will fund 50% of the total project cost. There are some exceptions. Please check the NOFO, page 10, section C2. In-kind contributions must be directly related to project. EDA will fairly evaluate all in-kind contributions, which must be eligible in accordance with uniform administrative requirements, cost principles, and audit requirements for federal awards. The applicant must show that the matching share will be committed to the project for the project period, be available as needed, and not be conditioned or encumbered in any way that may preclude its use consistent with the requirements of EDA investment assistance. Since funds are awarded each year, the commitment of match is required only for year one. However, the application should include information and budgets for the total 5-year award period. We will cover that in the next slide. Local match can be documented by a board resolution or letter signed by a person authorized to financially bind that entity. Projects will be selected based on the competitiveness of program delivery and resources. Construction activities are not allowable under this competition and may not be charged to the EDA funds of the project or provided as matching share. The requirements for submittal are as follows. Required forms which are located in the application packet on grants.gov. For the project narrative, no more than 10 pages of double-spaced text, including attachments, but not cover letter. More important than length is please keep in mind that the committee reviewing application for merit need to understand a clear and concise scope of work. If the applicant is a consortium, please read page 18, section D to F of the NOFO. And more application requirements. The SF 424A is the budget information for non-construction programs, and it is for entire 5-year award period. Attach 5 separate itemized budgets, including federal, non-federal cash, and in-kind, and total amounts allocated to each budget line item for each of the 5 years in the period of performance. Each of the 5-year budgets should be the same amount. The staffing plan is for 5 years. The System for Award Management Registration, or SAM. This is really important. It has been taking weeks to process and renew your SAM registration. An applicant must have an active SAM entity registration in order for their grants.gov application to be submitted. Please register or renew as soon as possible, and please let me know if your SAM registration has not gone through by the end of June. Applications submitted under this NOFO are subject to the requirements of Executive Order 12372, Intergovernmental Review of Federal Programs. Please read section D5, page 20 of the NOFO for more information. States that follow the single point of contact, or SPOC, in the Denver Regional Office are Iowa, Missouri, North Dakota, and Utah. Provide a letter with your application from the SPOC listed for your state. Facilities and administrative, F&A costs, sometimes referred to as indirect costs. If F&A costs are included in the budget, the applicant must include documentation to support the F&A rate it is using. If the applicant does not have a current or pending F&A agreement, it may propose indirect costs in its budget. However, the applicant must prepare and submit an allocation plan and rate proposal for approval within 90 days from the award start date. If the applicant does not have a current F&A agreement and has never had a negotiated F&A rate, the applicant may elect to charge a de minimis rate of 10%. At least 80% of funding under a University Center Program Award must be allocated to direct costs of program delivery. For example, if the total project costs are estimated to be $100,000, a maximum of $20,000 in F&A costs allocated between the EDA share and the local share may be included in the indirect cost line item of the proposed budget. I'd like to turn it over to Stacy Webb. She will drive us home with more information regarding application review criteria, review and selection process, and some neat tools and resources. Thanks, Stacy.
Thanks, Jane. Applications will be reviewed based on 3 rating criteria. The project's alignment with investment priorities is 25%. The applicant's capacity to execute the scope of work is worth 35%. And the responsiveness to the objectives in the notice of funding opportunity is 40%. The next 4 slides will go into more detail on these. Projects must address one or more of the following EDA investment priorities. Recovery and resilience refers to projects that assist with activities such as business continuity or long-term recovery from natural disasters or severe downturns in the economy. Critical infrastructure establishes or supports the fundamental needs for business and industries to become prosperous. The full description of this priority broadly states that this can be physical infrastructure such as broadband, energy, roads, water, or sewer. This does not mean the construction of infrastructure. UC funds cannot be used for construction. For the UC program, this would mean more the support of soft infrastructure. An example might be support of innovation programs or entrepreneurship and business support services. Workforce development and manufacturing supports planning and implementation of workforce training centers or other skills development related facilities. This can also be activities that encourage job creation through business expansion, specifically in manufacturing, or activities that support advanced manufacturing. And exports and foreign direct investment. These are efforts that support growth in U.S. exports and increase investment by foreign companies. Please make sure you are using the current investment priorities. These priorities are not located in the NOFO, however, it does provide the link to the EDA website where each priority is described in detail. The application should clearly describe the applicant's capacity in all 4 of these areas. All 4 factors are weighted equally. Fosters job creation and promotes private investment, validates feasibility of the project, describes sustainability and durability of the project, and demonstrates organizational capacity. The next 2 slides will address responsiveness to the objectives in the NOFO. The application should describe a well-defined geographic area and benefit distressed communities. Geographic areas do not have to be contiguous or defined by political boundaries, but they should at least be cohesive groups such as consortiums of partners with relevant experience. Foster regional economic ecosystems. EDA is encouraging projects that create or nurture regional economic ecosystems through science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM skills, support innovation and high-growth entrepreneurship, enhance commercialization of research, foster a high-skilled workforce, and other efforts that would contribute to an innovation environment. We do have some good examples of activities under this objective located on page 14 of the NOFO, so please take time to review these. Drive regional economic development and strategies. Proposed activities should link existing regional strategies whenever possible to further economic development for the entire region. Competitive applications will leverage university assets. The goal of the UC program is to leverage the many resources of universities to advance regional economic development. So please explain all the ways your program will achieve this. For current university centers that are applying, please note that we will not fund the exact same scope of work as your current UC program. In your narrative, you should clearly describe how you are introducing a new program or creating a new focus. Engage EDA stakeholders and partners such as economic development districts and tribal governments, state offices, workforce development boards, or other federal agencies. This does not necessarily mean a financial contribution, but could possibly mean a leverage of resources and services. Letters from partners should clearly define their role and describe the contribution towards the project rather than letters that offer general support. Demonstrate sustainability of proposed programs. Sustainability should be very clearly addressed. This is often one of the weaker points of an application. So in your narratives, identify future revenues or finance models that will support your programs after EDA investment has ended. The point of the UC program is to build sustainability so your program can live beyond EDA funding. We're now at the application review process. The NOFA was published on May 31st. Applications are due on July 15th. Please note that this is a Sunday. Once applications are received, they will go through a technical review, and if found complete, will then go to the Investment Review Committee for a merit review. The grants officer will then make the final decisions, and awards will be announced sometime this fall. At this point, we would like to bring attention once again to the SAM registration. It is critical that you immediately register for a SAM.gov account or update registrations that are expiring. Again, please let us know if the registration or update has not been completed by the end of June. The SAM process has changed and there are significant delays in new accounts and renewals. Also, this is very important, please do not wait until the last minute to submit your application. It can take weeks to set up a grants.gov account if you are encountering problems, and you must have a current SAM account to submit your application through grants.gov. Applications must be date stamped by the deadline to be considered for this competition. So please take care of these housekeeping items. You do not want to put all of that hard work into an application and then not be able to submit it. This is a list of our current university centers. We've had some really great programs over the last 5 years and look forward to receiving a competitive group this year. EDA's website has a dedicated University Center page that provides the direct link to the Denver UC competition through grants.gov. We're encouraging you to use this link rather than searching through the grants.gov website, and this will ensure that you get to the correct application. The UC website also includes a report on EDA's UC best practices. There's some really good data that has been collected from past university centers in this document that may be particularly helpful when establishing performance metrics, which is an important part of the review. There are also success stories from past and present UC. The EDA website also has links to interactive economic development tools such as Stats America, which measures economic distress in a defined area, the Innovation Index, and industry cluster mapping. So please check these out. So this concludes the presentation. We are encouraging you to work with your economic development representative or EDR. We have all the states listed here. And for technical questions about the University Center program, please contact Jane Reimer. And I think now we're going to take some questions from the chat room. I will ask that you please hold any questions that are specific to your project and address those directly to your EDR or to Jane Reimer after the webinar. Jane, do we have any questions yet?
We have our expert Jody.
Yes, Jane and Stacy, we have several questions that have already been submitted in the chat box. Please submit your questions in the chat box now if you have any. The first one is, what is the process if we need to change any of the key personnel during the 5 years?
I'll take that one. We understand that you're estimating your personnel budget for 5 years. If there is a change of more than 10%, we would need to process an amendment. If it is less than 10% of the total project cost, you'll need to let your project officer know.
Thanks. The second question is along those same lines. It's as the project grows from year one, how are the to be determined staff or employees best handled in the budget?
Again, we understand that things could change in subsequent budget years. All you can do is provide the best estimate possible, and if you have changes, we can work through them.
Thanks. Let's go on to the next question. Will an email document be available as cash commitment, or acceptable, sorry, as cash commitment?
The response is, a signed letter is required documenting match.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. A signed letter is required documenting the match amount and can be submitted electronically with your application.
The next question, in choosing program focus, can we combine some of those focus areas you offered, Stacy, as examples in the NOFO?
The simple answer is yes. We won't, it's up to you what your program focus is.
Okay. The next question is, what is the average budget the Denver office funded a UC project in previous years? Is $140K a year a reasonable budget request?
The answer is yes. That's a reasonable amount. It's 80,000 to 200,000 is the amounts we are looking for, that range.
The next question is, are the references included in the 10-page limit?
The references do not count toward the 10-page limit.
The next question is the overall goal to establish one center in each state? Is there a maximum number of centers within a state?
This is Angie again. Awards will be based on competitiveness, but it is our hope that we have geographic balance. So we would like to see, if possible, and if the competitiveness factor is there, that we would have one in each state.
Thanks, Angie. I want to go on to the next question. May tables like the timetable in the narrative be single-spaced? Yes, they can be single-spaced or double-spaced. The next question is, can I add something to the key personnel question?
Sorry, that was me. This is Bernadette Grafton. I work in our headquarters office, and I just wanted to add to the key personnel question that somebody had. If you have a change in your staff, as long as if they were on the initial proposal, we need to get pre-approval. So that just work with your project officer on that, but otherwise there shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you, Bernadette. The next question is, she said she thinks we answered this, but can we get a copy of this PowerPoint? And yeah, I answered that in the chat a couple of times. We're collecting all of the questions and the link for today's webinar that's being recorded. It will be provided to our University Center distribution list, and we will get that out to you. The next question is it true that the requirement is 50% matching for only year one? Did I get that right?
So let me clarify that. The match needs to be 50% per year. We just need a commitment letter in year one. For year one.
So that means that 50%, when they do the budget, 50% match will be shown for all 5 years.
And in subsequent years, they will need, your University Center's awardees will need to provide a commitment letter each year.
The next question is, if an institution of higher education has received a past award, would a new initiative involving the same university still be eligible to apply?
Yes, they are eligible.
Somebody said on there that they were having trouble hearing Bernadette, but Bernadette, thank you for your response regarding the key personnel that you included in the chat box. The next question is, can we include key personnel that are not funded by the center?
Just give us one moment, please.
We need to answer that one. Let's just table that one. We're going to answer it in the Q&A document that we send out.
The next question is the matching, a hard match or a soft match. Match can be cash and it can be in kind. So you've got to document the in-kind match via the letters of support and so forth from if you've got any third-party in-kind. But yes, it can be cash or in-kind. Hopefully that's what you meant, but any other?
And if you're asking more about in-kind contributions, they may provide the required non-federal share of the total project cost and consist of contributions directly related to the project, such as space, equipment, services, and services.
The next question is, if they were previously successful, this is coming from I believe a previously funded university center, will the grant fund continuation of existing projects?
I think we answered that question previously. EDA is not going to fund the exact same scope of work. What we're looking for is that you've built upon the program or you're introducing a new focus.
Just wanting to see if any other questions come in from anybody else in the chat. We can open the lines now.
No, we need to keep it. Yeah, I think we need to keep it on the chat. We may get some feedback otherwise.
And we'll leave the presentation open for 10 minutes after the presentation, so you can still chat in questions, or you can email myself. My contact information is still up, or your EDR.
I have some other questions coming in. One is, can a currently funded UC build on and expand an initiative started?
I think, again, what we're looking for is that you're either building upon, expanding, as you said, that you're taking the program maybe in a new direction, or introducing a new focus, as we said earlier. If you have any real questions about that specifically, please contact your EDR or Jane Reimer.
We have a question that came in that says, can you give more information on F&A agreement? And hopefully you're just wanting to know overall what indirect cost plan is, or what it covers. So if somebody wants to answer that just in general.
I think mainly you would want to refer to the NOFO on this. It's on page 17 under Facilities Administrative F&A Costs. The main thing you want to note is that the total F&A costs cannot be more than 20% of the total project cost.
Great, thanks. I have some other questions coming in. We've got some more questions coming in. The next question is it okay to use the difference between full F&A and your cap as part of our in-kind? As our university would say, the full F&A represents the cost of doing research on our campus.
If we're talking about unrecovered indirect costs or F&A costs, they may be included as part of cost sharing or matching only with prior approval of the grants officer and should not be included in the initial proposed budget. Again, there is still a 20% cap for indirect costs to the total project cost.
And we've got another question. The budget request, on the budget request, we have to show the need for what we originally asked for all 5 years.
We might need to clarify that question. If the person that submitted that could just clarify that, or we might have to answer that again through the Q&A document that we email.
Still looking for other questions are coming in. Some people are typing right now, so just bear with us while we collect the questions.
It sounds like the questions are tapering down, and we won't be able to answer all these questions today, but we will leave the chat room open for about 10 more minutes to make sure everyone can get a chance to submit their question. We will be sending an email again to the distribution list with a link to a Q&A document that will contain all the questions posted in the chat room and those emailed previously. It will also have a link to a recording of this webinar. So in wrapping up, I think we'd just like to ask that you please read through the NOFO very carefully. This webinar is only a summary of the information provided in that document. The NOFO provides very detailed information that will help you understand the program focus and meet the application requirements. So once again, we'd like to thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to working with you on your projects. Good luck, everyone.